Okay, let's do this in landscape. Should be a bit better. I'll skip the bit. We've got an 800 kilowatt heater running in the front room, just so we can get some power draw and you can see what's going on. So you can see, because of the heater on, we're putting power into the grid, and we're using like nearly 6,500, putting 400 in. I mean, this is not suggesting anyone should do this. It's quite complicated, and maybe another video, but we've got a balancer now, so it's better. And we've got some old videos if anyone wants to watch those, but you've got a balancer, so this is all brilliant now. Mars Rock balancer, and the same, just cheap. But this, you can replace it for £15, you know, from AliExpress, and this just boosts up from the off-grid. This is the old off-grid system, but this is the trick. Let's see if we pull this out, we go back down to 0, so you know we would be going down pretty fast. I mean, there is a bit of solar in, but yeah, we've see here, you put a center pin with just a little bit of any old wire, and you connect it to the negative, because it's locked at 8 amps for a car charger. I think, you know, it's mainly so you don't draw too much when you're car charging, so you don't take too much off your car battery. It's locked at 8 amps, but with that trick it flips a switch. I saw this on an American channel, so you can get out of a 24 volt battery, you know, that's why it's lower, that it's not the full 500, but yeah, you can get nearly 400 from that with that trick, which is enough. I mean, if the electric heater wasn't on, you know, you wouldn't need to be topping it up like this all the time. But you know, if you're running a computer or something, all the fluctuations is done from the Shelly, you know, it's all great. And this is, in the part 2 video, we talk about this one. This is just another old inverter. I mean, it's only 400 watts, so you know, it's not much for a plug. It should pass all the British standards. The same as this, I think they've got German, this, you know, safety standards is passed. I mean, they haven't really bothered, because they know that from a battery, you know, I think the Chinese know it's safe, really. It's not overheating. I mean, there's a lot of scare stories, but in Germany I think they've legalised those too. But the thing is, to get a British standard, you might have to pay like £100,000 or something just to get a certificate. That's why the Chinese are a bit slow on that. But this is, you know, I got this more for the automation than anything else, you know, because those old inverters, you know, you can't automate to get to 0, you know, everything like that. So I think that's quickly glossing over that, and we'll just walk into the house and I'll show you the Shelly. And there's another hack for that. It should have put a USB power connector on it, really, because it just takes a minimum amount of volts, you know, it just needs a little bit of power. So you run a cable from the plug into here. It should be USB, but you know, it might. And it's the wires, rather than going into your consumer box and up there and all that, you don't really want to go in there. And you see, it just goes to a CT clamp on the live wire, so you're not getting involved in that too much. I've seen them do it. I've seen them do this. I thought it was only with this one you could do it. I think this was on sale as well. It was about 60 quid or something, rather than the 99 for the new Eco one. But you can wire that the same. But you know, you don't want anyone pulling those wires or touching those wires or anything. But yeah, that's the Shelly. So that Shelly gives you all your automation, which is nice. So you know, you turn a light on, it'll pull it from that battery, or you turn, you know, your computer on, it'll all automatic. Which is, the automation is what I wanted, because you can't really, if you're playing your computer and don't want to be adjusting things manually all the time. And then the Fogstar's got a smart plug, just a simple smart plug, doing the job of 20, you know, 15, 20 quid. But you can get them. Some, you know, you don't have to use an EcoFlow, but it's nice for the app. The plugs, one thing, they don't monitor reverse current. You know, so it's something you might like. This seems to monitor reverse current. This is a different, cheaper thing. So that's reverse current at the moment. But yeah, that's all your automation taken care of. And I use this so there's no grid at all, but I'll show you. I'll switch that off and that'll go down. It does have a variable resistor on this that I used to use, but they don't last that long, so I don't particularly recommend them anyway. I've had it about 2 years, but you can't vary that resistor so much. So if you turn that off, you can see it's feeding in from the off-grid. But yeah, we use a lot more if we don't have that on. That'll drain till midnight. You know, you can run probably a computer till midnight. If you have computers and all that. I did just put an off switch there, just for ease of use, so you don't have to plug things or switch things. So yeah, I won't touch the variable. There's a variable resistor there. You can see, I can see it. It's a bit dark. Put my finger back. Oh no, you can't really see it. Yeah, but that does vary, but that's on its way out. It's nearly finished. So yeah. I mean, if we didn't have the heater on, we wouldn't be using hardly anything. Okay, hopefully you start to understand that. And I'll put the second part 2 video on so you can see the app, and that really explains everything in much more detail. I think it's actually I mean, those three big panels do the off-grid during the day, and one of these panels isn't not used, but that's going to expand. If I get a grid export, then you might want to export some to the grid, and I don't. The Shelly also stops over exporting, so you don't export to the grid. The Shelly does that as well. Okay guys, well, that's long enough. I'll do the part 2. will be app centered, and you can really understand how it's a good cheap system. Okay, hopefully I'll get some views.